Okay, let's do another iPad tutorial Procreate demonstration. You can see I'm using an iPad, and you can see I'm using the app called Procreate. So let's go to the place where I'm going to find a canvas. Here are some of the other works of art and illustrations that I've done over the past couple of months, I guess. So I'm going to get a new canvas, and I'm going to make it 16 by 20. And as you can see, it's white, and I just want to see the dimensions to make sure I got the right one. Sometimes I don't. So there's the canvas information right there, and the dimensions. So it is 300 dpi, which is what I want. The size is 16 by 20 inches. Why that's important is because most prints will be about that size. Usually they're smaller. Making a digital print bigger is risky. Sometimes you can pixelate them if you go too far. But at 300 dpi, it should be safe even to go bigger than that. It's 6,000 pixels wide by 4,800 pixels tall. I'm doing it in landscape mode, and I want to show you the layers. So at that setting, there will be 14 layers maximum. I've already used one for nothing at all, except for just the canvas. So there's 13 available, and the rest of them, you won't need this information unless you're actually using those things. The color profile, I'm using the current color profile, which is P3, and the available color profiles are, I'm sorry, here they are, P3 and sRGB, red, green, blue, and etc. And you can do others as well. I'm not that familiar with that whole part of this. The video settings, it does record a video while you're doing these things. It's one frame per art stroke per if you're drawing. So if you scrub it for 5 minutes, that's going to be one frame in the video. So you got to remember that if you're looking to make a video from your art. And it's set right now at 1080 pixels, and it's a good quality video. I don't use them for much other than demonstrations anyway. And the statistics show that I've done no minutes at all. I haven't done anything, and the total file size will be 74 hundredths of a megabyte. Is that what MB is? You guys know more about that than me. All right. I just wanted to show you those things for those who are interested. Now, today's picture is, I'm going to show you. If you go online and you look at YouTube, there's a young lady, and she makes these beautiful videos. Her name is Isabel Page. And I was watching one of her videos, and I did a screenshot. So let me find the screenshot that I have. Oh, here, reference. The reference photo. I couldn't think what I was looking for. So I'm going to go to my reference photo, and I'm going to import the one I want, which should be the most recent one. And there it is. Whoops, where'd it go? I'll try it again. I think I messed up. There it is. There's Isabel Page. I don't know Isabel, but she's a brilliant video maker, tell you that. And a very pretty lady. And I love the scene, and I love how she looks in this scene. So as you can see, she's by a river, and I love the way the light reflects off the river. I love the way the grass is growing between the rocks. I also love the way has her hands posed. She's touching something or holding a rock or maybe some water. I don't know what she's doing, but I love the way her fingers look elongated and feminine. I just like that look, and her long hair, of course, helps. Okay, so that's the picture I want to do. Now, I don't know that I'm going to keep it exactly like that. I kind of don't like the composition where she's directly in the middle of it, so I might shift her a little bit to the right, like that, or maybe like that. I gotta think about that. I kind of like it like that too. See, over here you see more of the river, but it's kind of an awkward composition. She's so close to the edge there. I kind of like having, when somebody's in a picture, to face kind of the open area. And there's enough visual for the water there. I think I'm going to use that as the composition. Okay, so now that is an important part of the decision, is what the composition is going to be. In digital art, you can change everything, obviously. But in traditional art, you would want to sketch it out first. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to set this background color to a different color. The color I want to choose is going to be based on the complementary color that is the primary local color of this picture, which looks like it's this dark green or this almost dark green. So I'm going to sample it from the picture itself, and you see what color it picked. It was this very dark, unsaturated green that I got from somewhere in this part of the reference photo. So I want to go to the color wheel, and there's the color right there, and there's the saturation and the contrast and all that. But right across from there, that's the color I want right now. And it doesn't look all that different because it's so dark. You see, if you look up there, you'll see it doesn't change that much. If I were to go over here, for example, see how that changes a lot and that changes a lot. But it was over here somewhere. And you see this kind of slightly green. And over here it's slightly purple, slightly violet. So I may use that, probably will use that. Now let's go back to the traditional palette, and it shows me that that's where it is in this spectrum. Okay, so now what I want to do is take the background color and make it that whole color. So that's the color. Somehow I messed up. I put a line there. How did I do that? Let me paint over it just real quickly. I don't know how I did that. So I just would paint over it. So there, I just painted over it and made the whole thing one color. Now what I want to do is I kind of want to, let me see, I'll sample that color. And let me see if I can put it down here. It was right around here somewhere. Let's see if I did it. Yeah, see, I did it. So I don't need to use a whole layer like that. I'm just going to use the background layer. And so that means I can turn that off and it'll still be, and it's a little bit darker than the other one was, but that's okay. What I want to do now is I want to take this layer here, and I'm kind of going to do the same thing, but I'm going to take the color wheel, and I'm going to use the dry brush. I'm going to use the dry brush for most of this. The dry brush is in the painting category. You see you have painting and artistic and calligraphy and airbrushing. When you get this, if you get Procreate, you will be able to fool around with it and have fun with it and do all kinds of things. So I'm going to do the dry brush. Whoops. And probably when I paint Isabel, I'm going to use the turpentine brush, which looks like oil paint, which I love. The dry brush looks like oil paint too, but it's a rougher, more brushy look. Okay, so what I want to do first, let's take that sky. Let's just sample the sky. You see, that's the color of the sky. And let's look at it on the wheel. So it's right there. I want to go opposite of it. Again, just like with the foreground, I'm going to make this about the same size as that, so I can kind of rough it in. And I'm just going to scrub it in. And just scrub in that sky. Let me move this over. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so now I have them about the same size, so I can kind of see. So I'm just going to rough it in. Now that's not exactly the same color as that, and I may not keep that color anyway. But if you can see, if I tap it in or scrub it in, I'm just putting in what looks like that background right there. And keep in mind, I'm doing opposite colors. So now here, wait, there's a mountain in the background. Let's look at that for a second. There's a mountain back there. Okay, so let's take that color and again go opposite of it. And let's put it in there. Let's just put it in there. Whether we use it or not, that's another story. And there we go. That's all there is to that. And now these foreground trees, they're very dark. So chances are the opposite. It's going to be very red, and it's probably not going to be that noticeably different. But this is just the groundwork. This is just the complementary idea. And probably what would be a good idea for this is to reduce, when we do the final painting, is to reduce the saturation of these background trees. Okay, so let me just kind of scrub it in there. There we go. Make it a little bit lower, I guess. And she's going to be in here somewhere. Isabel will be somewhere in there. Okay, that's pretty much it. All right, now let's take this light colored water. Again, use the opposite color, which is more like a yellow. It's really kind of just white. All right, and let's just scrub that in there. Like I say, I'm going to move her over anyway, so let me do that now. See, I like that much sky, and I like that much water, so I am going to move her over, even though right now she's not there. See, I don't want to put her there. This is where she would be if I was just to copy it. And the idea is you don't want to copy it. You want to make it your own picture. So now I'm going to put her over there, and that's where she'll be when I finally get her in there. All right, let's take this little rock right here. And again, use the opposite or complementary color, which is this over here. And just gonna scrub that in there. Okay. And then I'm going to take this, sample this color. It looks like a tree right there. Again, do the exact opposite. And put it in there. All these are just going to be groundwork. Looks like there's some gray stone behind this grass here, and so the opposite of that is that orangish color. I'm just going to kind of put it in there. Okay, and then the bottom of that rock over there looks like it's got some darker areas, so I'm going to put that there. Okay, and now this green is pretty green, so the opposite of that, there's the green, there's the red. So that's what we want. And this is the most noticeable one, I think. So put these in here. And see, I'm not going to paint her in yet. Just going to do the ground around her. Again, every time I do this, I'm just grabbing the opposite. And I'm just putting it in here. Just scrubbing it in. And there's that stone right there. It's very light colored. So we're going to, again, there's the opposite right there. So kind of sketch it in there. Not worry about it too much. And let's get some of these darker greens. Turn them around, make them red. And there we go. And one more time, let's just take a little bit of that green. Do the opposite. And all right, there we go. So I know that doesn't look like much, but you can see how it resembles, in as far as composition, it resembles the reference photo. You see, right now the sun is in my eyes, so I'm going to stop this and continue after the sun is shifted a little bit, because my window blinds are not that good. What is that? Almost looks like there's a crack right there, doesn't it? But that's a reflection. Oh, it's a reflection of the microphone. Okay. All right, I'll be back. Part 2 coming up. Okay, the sun has moved out of the way, and I don't know how long it took for that, but don't worry about it. I'm going to continue where we left off. So, okay, so where we were was to try to create a complementary background that will work with this composition from a picture I took from a video that Isabel Page posted on YouTube. That's Isabel right there. And I guess we'll start working now with the actual colors, okay? All right, so so far I have the background color, which is that. And then I have the first layer, which is the complementary layer, which is that, which is basically just a foundation. Okay, now I'm going to add another layer, and there's the other layer right there. And this obviously doesn't change anything here because there's nothing on it. I'm going to paint on that layer, and we're going to create the background, and then we'll do Isabella later, okay? All right, so let's start. So now, because these colors over here are so dark and so light, the complementary version of those colors are also dark and light, which means that as I paint over them, it's not going to change it a whole lot over here. This is a cool thing to think about. You might want to just paint a whole picture using complementary colors. Just a thought. I've done it before. All right, so what we want to do is we want to sample this color, the sky. Let's see what it is. Let's put it to the traditional, and it shows it as a pure white. And it shows it as pure white as if it came from a violet. So what I want to do, I don't want to make it that white. I want to make it more of the violet. So I'm going to pull that over a little bit. So put it right there. Now let's just paint in on that layer with the dry brush, okay, just so you know where we are. And we're going to paint in this. I'm going to make this bigger so I can see what I'm doing better, and put these very brush strokey things. And here, this controls the size of the brush, and this controls the opacity of the brush. So I'm going to make it about that size and keep it full capacity, and just kind of paint it in there. And I can scrub it a little bit. There, you see how it's working there. And again, I'm not trying to reproduce the photograph. I'm not trying to make another photograph. I'm using the photograph as a reference for this. Okay. So there we go. So that little bit of violet added to that. It's kind of a cool look. And I'm just going to keep adding light to the different places that looks like the light is shining through the trees. And there we go. I'm going to just lighten it a little bit more to the white and kind of add that in there. So it's kind of a blend of the two, the very light violet and the almost pure white, but it's not completely pure. You see it's there and not there. So there's that. All right, so that's that whole layer. That's the whole layer for the sky. Now, let's do this background area from there to there. Whoops. The reason I want to isolate that is because I don't want that as like there's no contrast between that and that in the photograph. That should be a little bit faded in a painting. It's my thought. So let's just do that area right there. So let's just sample that color. And if you look at where it is, it's right here. Let's desaturate it a lot, like right there. All right, so now let's put that in there. Just go down to the water's edge. Paint some of the trees in there. It's a little bit too green. It's a little bit too green. Let's desaturate it even more. Okay. Okay, you see how it's working out? Some of the darker. Now let's make it a little bit darker. I'm going to go a little bit darker even than that. Okay. Just to create this feel that those are distant. There's a little bit of a haze between us and it, and it's not saturated at all, or it shouldn't be. I feel like I still have it too saturated there. And what I can do also, I'll show you a trick here. You can use the this feature right here in adjustments. Go for this, and then up here, click on pencil instead of the whole layer. So now we're just going to use the pencil to desaturate this a little bit. It's hard to tell. Let me make it bigger so maybe you can see it easier. Let's see, turn the saturation down. Just unsaturate it a bit. Yeah, just get it a little bit like that. I think that's good. And I'm going to have to repair the sky now, but that's how I wanted to do that. All right, now let's repair that sky. Sample the sky again. Go over here so that's a little bit more on the blue. I'm going to put this bigger so I can kind of see what these little brush strokes are doing. Yeah, we got a little bit of purple, a little bit of blue happening in the sky. The sky is not one uniform color. There we go. All right, so now I think we have a pretty good idea of what we want that little section to be, which represents that section. Now the rest of it in the background can be a little bit unsaturated, but we're going to keep it almost exactly like it is. So let's make that a different layer. Okay, and we'll come back to that and probably merge the two so that it becomes one layer. And I'm just going to scrub in some of these branches that you see up there. Make sure the sky is still peeking through. Put the water's edge right there. There we go, and there's that rock right there. All right, let's take some of these greens that we see back there. Let's pop them in there. Let's take that tree and push that in there. Okay, all these things are just little tiny areas that you can just scrub in the color. In traditional art, you would take your palette and you would mix your paint so that you can do the exact same thing I'm doing here. Now, I will say this, that what I'm doing is more of an impressionistic approach. Again, my intent is not to create a photograph or a photographic image. Mine is to create a painterly image. I like to use that word, painterly. And that's just my way of saying that it looks like a painting. All right, and we'll look at that a little bit closer in a bit. Well, it's actually closer to the end of the demonstration here. All right, so let's just get some of those darker greens in there. There we go. Some of that, so that they look like they're more in the foreground than the area back there. And just kind of scrubbing it in. Make it darker right there. Get some of those greens in there. Some of those light greens. Just a hint of them. Just to show a little bit of depth, a little bit of a crowd there going on I'll just add a little bit of green to that area right there. Okay, so just about have it the way I want it. Put some dark right there. Okay, now let's go for this area right here. I think it's a rock of some sort, or a piece of perhaps dirt. Just scrub it in. And then get this dark area here beneath it. And scrub it in. Put some upper lines. Let me make that really dark there. It's just some weeds that are showing up. Get some dark here. And now we want to take this gray area right here, which looks like it's a stone. We sort of laid it in with the complementary color, which would work by itself, by the way. It's a judgment call on your part. You know, how do you want it to look? We'll get some darker areas here, just to create that look of a pitted effect there. All right. So let me get some more of this little bit of a light area right here. Let me lighten it up this way. It just looks like some light coming through the trees. Okay, now we have what looks like a background from the water line up in both cases. Now let's merge that with this. So let's merge these two layers together, merge down, and now you can see that's one whole layer right there, what I did. And now we're going to add another layer. Okay, now what I want to do is add this water. Okay, so I just sampled the watercolor, and we want to scrub it in. It's not completely white, so you just want to give a hint of it, because the sky, I'm going to have to make the sky a little bit more white, because otherwise it wouldn't be reflecting so brightly. Let me put some patches in here. All right, let's get some of those dark areas of the water. Looks like there's a lot of dark areas of water. What that is that's the reflection of the background trees, and it's just the refraction of the light from the sun. Let's get this right here. It looks like a blue-gray color. Let's look at what that is. Yeah, see, it's a blue-gray right there. We'll put that in there. That's kind of nice too. Remember, you're making a painting, not a photograph. Can't say that enough. We don't want this to be a photograph. I don't want this to be a photograph. I'm going to correct myself, because maybe that's what you want. I know a lot of artists do like their artwork to look very photographic, so don't think for 1 minute that you have to do it the way I'm saying. It does not. Okay, it does not have to be painterly. I'm just telling you how I prefer it, and I've expressed this before, but I'll do it again, that I've been admiring art from, like, in buildings and in hospitals and places like that, and it's always comforting, or for some reason, to look at a piece of art that looks like art. Okay, and so I think when it looks like a photograph, that works too. That works too, but I'm not a photographer. I mean, I play one on TV. No, I mean, I have a phone. I have a phone, and I use my phone as a camera, of course. We all do. But all right, so now I'm just scrubbing in some of this area right here. And we don't have Isabel in there yet, but she will be. As you can see, we sort of have this laid out here. I'm gonna continue just sketching in just scrubbing in really some of these colors here. Let's get some of these dark areas. That is where Isabella will be. Let's make it even darker than that, I think. Yeah. Because once we have her in there, then we have adjusting to do and all that. So, all right, so. Okay, let's see some of these darker parts of the grass, and then we'll go for the lighter greens up here. Again, I'm using the dry brush, so it has that very brushy look to it. Get some of these dark greens right there. Okay, we're going to work on some of this later on. Just going to use my judgment a little bit here and put some of these less saturated greens, but light but unsaturated. And some of these wisps of grass are going to be in the foreground from Isabella also. So let's just get some dark in here. Let's go with more dark down here. Oops. A new memory for me, it said. A new memory. Wonder what it is. Wonder what my new memory is. Alright, so I keep just kind of brushing it in, scrubbing it in, getting some of these darker areas. I think some of these look nice over here in the water. Just scrubbing it in, and as you can see, the original complementary color that we put in the background is slowly becoming obscured, but not completely. It does poke through. In traditional art, when you do a complementary background, that's exactly what happens, is it starts to poke through a little bit. Okay. Oops, let me get some of this green here, this background here. Just a little bit. Let me make it a little bit less saturated, but still bright. These little areas here, these little wispy areas. So I'm using Procreate obviously on an iPad, but you could do the same thing with a Cintiq on Photoshop and pretty much all that. Okay, whoops. All right. the monitor I'm using to look at it went dark. All right, hold on. I got to straighten it out again. All right, there it goes. Okay. Yeah, where are we? Where were we? Let's make this a little bit lighter. A little bit less saturated. You see little wisps of, let me make the brush a little smaller. Some things in the background, vines and things that you can see in the background. Some rocks back there. All right, we're going to work all this later on anyway. But I just wanted to do as much as I could right now before we start working on Isabella. Okay. Let's see what that color. So as far as picking colors, I'm doing a combination of using my judgment and using the sampling tool. It's a little bit too green. Okay, that's very, very sketchy still, but that's what we want. All right, now what we want to start is with Isabella. So let's see what we can do here. I think I'm going to, there's without that layer, and there's what we did with that layer. I'm going to merge the two together. As you know, we are limited with the number of layers, so that's why I do that. And now we're going to do Isabella. Okay, so we're going to make a separate layer for Isabella. And we want her to be about that size, at least to begin with. But that's kind of a misleading thing. So I grabbed the light color from her skirt, and I'm going to really, really, really rough brush it in. So let's just do this, and then we're going to come back and make it look more like Isabella, okay? So she's got that there, that there. Her hair, I know her hair is dark. I'm just scrubbing it in with the light color. There. There we go. Just some of these things I like. Okay. Now what that does right there, that shows me about the size that I want her to be. But I want to work large so that I can really see what I'm doing. So what I want to do is I want to take Isabella, the picture of Isabella, and I want to make her pretty large. So right there. Try to make it the same size as my reference photo. Now what I want to do, I'm going to do a second layer. No, I won't. I'll stay on that layer. And let's just take this dress. I'm going to use still the dry brush. Eventually I'm going to switch over to the turpentine brush. Let's just do this for now. Let's get the colors of her arm. Make a little bit smaller brush. Okay. Let's see the color of her knee. Right there. She's right about there. Okay, under here, and she's got her foot sticking out, which I love that foot sticking out there. Let's get the dark part of her arm. Okay, the bottom part. Everything is fixable, by the way. Let's get her dark hair. Let's see, it goes like that. Let's get the color of her face. Just the rough. The rough, it doesn't have to be perfect. Let's just get that. Her hand. It's coming up. Goes over. That's the fingers I was talking about before. I like the way her fingers look. Let's get the other part of her dress over there. And the color of her knee, the light part of her knee. The dark part under her hand. The brightness of her skirt. Okay, so you can start to see that we're getting it to look like a person. Okay. And this is a big gap there that shouldn't be. So I'm going to correct things now. Let me show you how I'm going to do this. In an actual painting, you would paint over it. With this, you can take that. And let's just take her head and move it where it should be. It should be right about there. Okay. And now let's take her hand, because I made, whoops, I made it it should be more of an angle. So I'm going to take her whole hand and I'm going to move it up. Watch this. See that? See what I did? That looks about right. And of course it makes her knee in the wrong place now, but we'll fix that too. Okay, and then of course all these gaps that are being created by this movement. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint over that, because it's really just still in the very sketchy stages. Okay, and put her knee up here. Okay. And obviously her other hand. We're gonna worry about all this stuff later as we get deeper into her likeness. And I'm not that concerned about her likeness, by the way. Speaking of likeness, I want it to be the beautiful lady that Isabella is, but I'm not worried about it looking exactly like Isabella. I'll try. I'll give it a shot because I like her, and I think, you know, she's doing some amazing videos. So, but just kind of sketching it in, get that bright spot of her foot. All right, now let's back it off and see what it looks like. So, you see how that has that look. Let me remove the reference photo and just put it to full size here. So even with that, you see a very, very impressionistic, almost abstract painting, and you sort of kind of know what it is. You sort of kind of know what's going on there, but that's not good enough for what I wanted to. All right, let's get the reference photo back, and now let's focus on Isabella. Right now she is a separate layer all by herself. See, what I want to do is focus on her face. So let's just go there. Let's just take the face part of this and make that better. Now this is where I'm going to switch brushes. I'm going to go from the dry brush to the turpentine brush, which is, there it is, right there. That's the turpentine brush. It's got an oily look. So does the dry brush, but this is more of a wet oil. And let's just start doing the contours of her face. So let's do this cheek first. And I'm going to make it a separate layer, by the way. Okay. Just in case I mess up bad, and I can fix it easy. Okay, so what I want to do is paint her face in here. There's the light on her cheekbone. There's the bright spot, right part of her nose. Again, everything can be changed. There's the dark part of her forehead. Okay. Let's get the chin. Okay. Got to focus on here, so excuse me if I'm not talking. Some of the bright light that's coming off of her hair. It's important to get that in there too. Let's make it just bigger and rough it in. This dark area back here. Just keep working it until it looks the way we want it to look. as a part of here. I'm going to merge these two layers together because I need to erase some mistakes here. The eraser I'm going to use is the turpentine eraser, so it continues with the same shape. Just get rid of some of these unnecessary lines. Colors. Alright, clearly I'm not there yet, but it's starting to get there. Let me make the reference photo larger so I can see better what I'm doing. And let's continue. I'm going to make it another layer, just again so I don't mess up too bad. Okay. Reduce the opacity a little bit here. I have to adjust something again. Okay, I don't know why it does that, but yeah, it flips it over sometimes. Okay, keep going. Little by little, it's starting to look like her. I do want it to look like her. Close enough, anyway. In using traditional paint, I would probably be looking at some of the reds, by the way. Since I'm not using that right now, I'm just sampling colors off of the photograph. Well, actually, I'm going to use it right now and make it a little bit lighter right here because I can't. I'm having a hard time getting that color. But she's got light right there and some light coming across her lip right there and some dark colors. Yeah, so I'm just going to use my judgment here a little bit. Whoops, I don't like that. 2 fingers erases things, by the way. If I didn't already tell you that. Okay. Okay, let me get this again here. This little shadow happening here on her face. She's got kind of a cute look to her mouth, and I don't want to mess that up. She looks very serious. Some of you might know that I did. I used to do sketches for Disney resorts and Universal resorts here in Florida, and never in the theme park, but always in the resorts. And the one thing was the more you can capture a likeness, the better the person who you're trying to draw. In my case, I was always using charcoal. The better it is, really. So I'm just kind of slipping back into that, even though as a painting, nobody's commissioned me to do a portrait of her. Not that I want to. I just don't want to do portraits anymore, so to speak. But I mean, I still do them here and there for family, whatever. But okay, I'm starting to like the way that looks. Okay, let's get her hair a little bit in there. Okay, let me back it off a little bit. Let's kind of compare the two. It's not quite right, but you know what? I kind of like it. Let me make the opacity better and the brush a little bigger. I might have to. I have to change some of these things, I think. Some of my approaches here. Yeah, let me change some of that stuff. Go back to the larger version. A bit lighter right there. Okay, I see something I could fix here. Let's combine these two layers here so I can drag this down. I think I made her, the top part of her head a little bit too big. So I'm just going to grab the whole top part of her head from there. Just grab that whole thing. And I'm going to move it down. Yeah, I think like that. Okay. You go to a second layer just in case I mess up again. Okay. I think I'm going to sort of, well, I can always change it. It still looks a little bit uncertain. Okay, now I'm going to take a little break because I'm going to stop this and we'll do another piece in a little bit. We'll take a break. So stop this and I'll be back. Where's my, where's the cursor? All right, I'll be right back. Okay. Part 3 now. It's 4:55 in the afternoon. So I had a big long break right there. Went to my son's house and my daughter-in-law's house for my grandson's 4th birthday party. And then I came home and I thought I lost my phone and so there's so many things. All right, so let's get back to this. Now I want you to see I have the face right there. Almost looks pretty good, but can you see how it is not in the right proportions? So let's fix that real quick. Let's see. So let me make it bigger so you can see what I'm doing here. So if I take away that layer, yeah, it's much better with the layer. So keep the layer on there and merge it down. So now it's all one layer. She's all one layer. Now what I want to do is try to make her more proportioned to what she actually is. Her head is not that tiny, obviously, and so I'm going to fix that. So I'm going to fix it by making sure I go to that layer, the layer that has her head on it. It has her whole body, and I'm going to isolate it with this tool right here, lasso tool I think it's called, and then grab it, and now make her head bigger. Make sure it looks like it's about the same proportions as the photograph, also like the same angle, so it looks like it's more like that. I don't think I quite have her likeness. I'm debating about whether to worry about that or not. So right now I'm not going to worry about it. I don't think I quite got her. She's way prettier than what I've done there. So I just don't want to mess her up because this is a real lady, a real person. So I don't want to make her cringe at seeing her own likeness online if she ever sees it. But anyway, so that made it a little bigger. I'll probably fix the likeness, but first I want to work on the rest of her. Obviously, it's still very sketchy. So let's see. All right, I'm a little bit out of breath. I was looking for my phone. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I had the phone hooked up here so I could do this. I'm pointing to it. That's the phone right there. That's the phone that you're looking at this video through, and so I had the phone hooked up, to the little tripod thing here, and okay. All right, I'm going to make another layer over that one right there. Now I'm going to keep it that size, and I'm going to try to improve the sketch a lot. I'm going to make sure I have it on the turpentine brush, and let's just kind of sketch in, and I think I'm going to commit myself to making her likeness look more like herself, Isabel. So, all right, so let's just work on her hair a little bit. Her hair is much lighter right there, so let's just get some of those light colors and put them in there. Let me make the brush a little bit more opaque. Okay, and then her hair goes down her back like that. Am I in the right place? Yeah, I'm still shaking from thinking I lost my phone. Okay. Am I getting it right? Yeah, I think I'm getting it. All right, there. So it's a little bit too extreme, but I can fix that. No, I'll fix all of that. Okay. Let me just get these sleeves here from her dress. Gosh. I hate, the one thing about it is I have that device on my phone, or that app called Find My Phone, and it was telling me it was here. So it was driving me nuts because I couldn't figure out where it was. And it was right in front of me the whole time. Isn't that crazy? Okay. Okay, so a lot of this is really not hair, it's shadow. But it's kind of doesn't make much difference because it's just dark and light. All right, now the part of her clothing that's in the shadows is very gray, and then the part of her arm that's underneath the sleeve is very dark. Now that needs to be small. I'm going to put that in there. And then back here by her, I'm shaking because of that stupid me. Stupid. I was stupid. First stupid thing of 2023. All right. So there we go. Yeah, a lot of this is going to be fixed, but I got to do one piece at a time. So there's a little bit of blocking in of some of those darker colors. All right, let's get the dress now a little bit more accurate. Down here, this area. And her foot. That light color on her foot where the light is hitting it. I'll take care of the toes later on. It looks like I have to do some erasing on there too, so. Okay, a little bit at a time. We'll get it done. So she's the focal point of the picture. There's no question about it. Originally, I thought it would be the river or whatever body of water she's near. But the more I look at it, the more I realize that Isabel is the focal point of this picture. So. Okay. All right, now I think those are all pretty good placements. I need to refine them now, but first what I want to do is put that layer on, merge it down to the other one. So again, Isabel's all on one layer. Then I'm going to take the eraser. I'm going to try and fix some of these things that I can see need to be fixed, like that. Looks like her hair curves in a little bit there. And her hands, there's going to be hands over here. I think that looks about right. And then her feet are actually here. And I made them way too long, which I knew I did. I knew that when I first did it. So yeah. So okay, it's starting to look more accurate. You know, the thing is though, as a painting, you don't really necessarily need to be working with such detail. I just feel compelled to do that with her. I just really want to do her justice. Let me go back to her face. Let me go back to everything over here. Everything over here. Let me make her face bigger again. The reference photo. See, that doesn't really look like her. I'm so sorry, Isabel. Okay. Let me just work on this now some more. I was kind of in a hurry before because I knew I had to go to a birthday party. So I was kind of rushing, and I should never do that. Never rush. Never rush. Rushing is not good. Okay, I need more opacity. So this is up here. Oh no, I'm using the eraser. I am all shook up. Isn't that crazy how shook up I got from that stupid incident? Okay. So you see there's just a little space there. I gotta make sure that space is equal to that. And that'll make it look more like her. Pretty sure that's what I need to do. Okay. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, just keep working here. Is it working? Yeah, it's not dark enough or something. I am off my game right now, kids. That's all right. I'll calm down. Just a little opacity. So. Okay. You can see how important it is to get likenesses. It is and it isn't. I really was debating about whether to worry about likenesses. I wasn't trying to make this a portrait of Isabel. However, she's really such a sweet seeming girl and young lady, and I wanted to make sure I didn't mess up too much. I apologize in advance, or I apologize now, I guess. Okay. Okay, now this hair here, you see how that's I love how hair looks on a long flowing hair on a girl. I just love the way it looks. Okay. Let's put some here. A little bit of highlight there. A little bit of highlight here. Okay. Get that light brown. Just kind of curving around, and there's little wisps of dark. It's not really a different color hair, it's just that the way the light hits it, you know? So I'll fix the opacity there. Some of the lighter colors. Okay, now her sleeve. Okay, that's starting to happen, and I'm starting to calm down too. So, first stupid thing of 2023. Thinking I lost my phone, and I didn't. It was right in front of me the whole time. That's unbelievable. It's very unbelievable. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's get her arm now. I love this white dress she's wearing because it's so billowy. I love capturing the folds and the way it billows. Okay, now the one thing I mentioned earlier that I liked about this was her hand, because it had such a feminine gracefulness to it. So I want to try to replicate that as best as I can. Yeah, and once I get Isabel done, then I still have a lot of work to do on the landscape behind her, because I really, truthfully, have only just sketched that, and I haven't really done it justice. And really, this is a landscape picture. Isabel is an important part of it, but it is a landscape picture. Your hands are, see, you have to really pay attention to hands. We have been gifted by God with these incredible things called hands. And don't take them for granted, because they are unbelievably complex. And you can do so many different things with your hands. We wouldn't have the world that we have if it wasn't for hands, the design of our hands. So it's just amazing to me. Now that's horrible. That's horrible. Let me make it bigger so I can see what I'm doing here. Yeah, well, I didn't do good on the hands. This is why I like to be able to enlarge it like that, so I can really see what I should be doing. Sometimes, and this is, again, digital has its pluses and its minuses. One of the minuses is that it is small. Now, a larger Cintiq, which I don't have, but I will get one day when I grow up. A Cintiq has a larger screen, and it's almost the same size as like a 16 by 20, for example, which is what I'm trying to accomplish here. And then you can see every nuance and every little stroke. But on here, you kind of have to guess what's this going to look like, when it's printed large. If anybody prints it large, but you have to make it with that in mind. Otherwise, it's not going to be good. Yeah. So, how's your day going? Mine's not too bad. I went to a nice birthday party for a 4-year-old, and it was beautiful. I'm a pretty blessed man. Very blessed man. Very much so. Yes, trying to make some of this up here. Oh, come on. Now that's going to turn upside down, isn't it? Yep. All right, let me fix that. Okay. There we go. All right, that's horrible. Oh my gosh, I am just so off my game right now. Okay. Let me just really work this better. It's horrible. So far, it's horrible. So you have this. Make the opacity not so stark. I can do better with the shading if I do that. I don't know what she's holding. I think she's holding. Oh, she's holding nothing. Well, I don't know what she's holding. But there are two hands there, not one. So maybe this is what I need to start thinking about. There's a second hand. Her other hand is right there. Let me work on that. Whatever she's got there. So that's the thing. I don't know what she's got, but I don't need to know, because all I need to know is what it looks like. So let me just work on this. The trick is to just work on what you see and not what you think you know. Okay, so that's her hand. Her other hand going up. I'm just going to block it in now. And then this part here. And this part here, which goes from that finger. That's the color I want right there. So I'm manipulating the size of the brush, and I'm manipulating the opacity of the brush in order to accomplish the same things you would accomplish in traditional art, simply by the pressure and the amount of paint. And that's one of the things about digital. It's kind of like with regular paint. You have to sort of kind of get used to the animal, so to speak. The animal. You know what I mean. The beast. The beast before you. I think that's a very bright area right there. Very bright. Let me... Let's see. All right, let's blend them together, merge them together. I mean, reason I want to do that is so I can erase the pieces here that I think I made a mistake on. My eraser is set for turpentine, which is what I want. Just go around here. It appears to be her thumb on her other hand. And then the darkness of her thumb on her other hand. It's got a little bit of more orange to it, I think. Yeah, that's what it needed. It needed that little bit of an orange glow to make you realize it was a hand. I think that does that. I think that accomplishes the... Oh yes, that does a good job. Okay, keep in mind this is going to be small, I guess, in the painting, the finished painting. There we go. All right, now I think I got her hands. I think I did all right with that. her knee now. Let's look at her knee. Got a dark, very dark shadow on the front of it. It's very dark. For some reason it's not taken as dark. Make it bigger. Not quite so big. Okay, here we go. And then this orange color, kind of blend it in. And that's one thing you can do also with digital paint, especially when it behaves like oil paint, like the turpentine brush does on Procreate. You can manipulate it just like regular paint. You can blend it almost on the canvas. Well, you can do it on the canvas. Okay. Okay. There's the shadow in her skirt. And she's got a few designs in the skirt, flowers or something. I'll just kind of hint at that. All right, now let's do this part of the skirt here. Let's go around. Some of these dark areas on the bottom where the skirt is folding up underneath her. Yeah, just kind of rough that in for now. And I'll go ahead and put some of those little like designs that she's got, just hint at them. They're flowers or something. All right, that's looking all right. I'm kind of starting to be happy with this now. Okay, now let's fix those feet. I'm not doing a good job with those feet. I'm going to do a different layer for that one, just because if I mess it up, I can undo it if I need to. Okay, so it looks like the 2 feet, one is kind of sideways. That's what's happening there. So, there's a loud car out there. Why do cars have to be so loud? What is it with cars? I thought we had mufflers like years ago. Didn't we have mufflers? Okay. Let me put a little bit bright area right here where her toe is. Her other toe. This toe. And some dark areas between her toes. Let's see. Again, I'm not trying to do a photograph. Okay. And even though some of this is the ground, and it's not really her, it's the background of her, I'm going to make it part of the layer that is her. and I think I made her foot too long. Okay, so let me do this. Merge it down and do the same trick I've shown you a few times. Let me look at that foot. Yeah, that foot looks way too long. Whew. It's like a gorilla or something. All right, let me just take that and push it up. And I'll make it a little bit skinnier too. Okay. All right, that's not perfect, but that's okay for now. All right, let's see. She's on one layer. Now let's just look at the whole picture. Let's get back to the composition. If you remember, I wanted her to be on the left side, which is where she is. Okay, I know I just took a break and I just got back, but I'm going to take another one, and then hopefully I'll be able to finish it in the fourth segment, okay? All right. Okay, let's hope we can finish it now in this next segment here. I want to do something different. I obviously have to work on the background. I'm going to get rid of the reference photo here. That way I can make this nice and big. I need to be able to see this. This is a picture that I kind of wish was the full size. This is about the size of a sheet of paper, and the painting itself is this 16 by 20. It's much bigger. When it's done, it should be able to be printed that big, is what I should say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the reference photo and I'm going to put it on the screen that you can't see, but I'll show you just for a second, and I'll put the camera back down on this. I have to get the screenshot that I got from the original video, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's this one. Okay, so I'm going to put this on the big screen right next to me. Let me show you what I mean. Hopefully I can do this. Oh, let me just take the phone out of the little holder there. There, can you see that? Is anything in the way? So that's on the big screen, and I'm going to use that as my reference. I'm going to be looking up to that. It's just going to be a lot easier for me to see all the little nuances and the branches and everything. Let me just make sure I got the camera back so you can see. Whoops, it's upside down. Okay. All right, so that you can see what I'm doing. But I'm not going to be monitoring it on the big screen. Okay. Okay. All right. So there we go. Now this is so much easier to work with that size, don't you think? All right. So let me on my screen, on my big screen. Let me see what I did with it. There it is. Okay, now I have it on the big screen. All right, now what I want to do is I want to take this. Now, I don't have Isabel's likeness perfect on here. I'm not going to worry about it. Isabel, thank you for being my model for this. I apologize for not being a perfect likeness of you. But I just want to make the painting the feeling of the scene that you created with your video. So what I want to do now is go back to the background. So let's remove Isabel just for a second. And there's the background. Now I do want to keep her in there. But what I want to do is add a layer on top. See, on top of the background. But below Isabel. So there's Isabel, a little tiny picture right there. So I'm basically painting between her and the background. I'm going to paint whatever I think should be in there by looking at this big picture that you can no longer see. Okay? And since I don't have it on my iPad, I won't be sampling from the reference photo itself. I'll be instead working from that, just using my judgment, okay? So let's just start with some of these things here. So obviously I have some of those colors already here, so let me just grab from the picture, and I'll start now. You know what I want to do first? I want to do the water. The water is what I want to do first. The water is so important in this picture. So let me do that first. The water is behind Isabel, and it's dark over here. There. That's what I want to do. I'm going to paint all these little nuances of the water. The distant horizon where the water meets the tree line. Okay. She has her feet on the water itself. Now I do have to fix some things here because if you remember, some of these things I painted on the layer with Isabel. But I just want to put the little ripples in the water that naturally occur when water flows and light reflects off of it. There we go. There we go. Some of this right here, this rock. What I want to do, I am going to put a little bit above, a layer above her, because some of this is on the layer with Isabel. So what I want to do is just paint above it a little bit. And let's see how this works out. So this is very close to what you would do in traditional paint. Okay. You know, put a lot of ripples. A lot of ripples. There'd be some reflections from her. The light of her skirt is probably reflecting in the water. There we go. Things like that. All right, now in the background here, we want to get some green, from very unsaturated green, and put in the feeling of some trees. I think this is the feeling of a hill back there a little bit. Maybe it's got a little bit more of an orange tone to it, or brown. There you go. Now you can see that hill sort of kind of in the distance. Let's go back to the greens and color some of that in. Paint in the distant trees. Okay. Let's get some of these colors. Do our best to try to create that illusion of water. All right, and she's got a stone like right in front of her. It's a gray color, so let's go for some gray here. Give it a little bit more light so it looks like light's hitting it. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Yeah, there's some rocks over here. Okay. Some other stones in there. Okay, this tree back here, we worked on this before. Let's work on it some more. What I couldn't see when it was small is that there's actually a double trunk. What I also couldn't see before is that there's another evidence of another distant hill back there. So let's put that in there. Let's get some greens, very dark and very unsaturated greens like that. And I can always add lights to it so that it has that appearance of light. See what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to create a background that makes sense for this picture. It's starting to come together. Yeah, it's much better now. Okay. Let's create some of these dark areas here. A bit of a light hitting that. Let's get some of that orange. There's like a little bit of a, I don't know, like weeds or something that are growing up back there that have an orange tint to them. I'll put them back there. Let's put a layer of gray right in here with some lighter colors. Yeah, it's all starting to make sense now, right? It's all coming together. There's the Bob Ross philosophy that you can have happy little accidents, and that's, I'm just doing a million of them right now. A million happy little accidents. All right, let's take this, make it very small. Let's put some wisps here. So some like weeds coming up, some lines that represent. There we go. Little pieces of seeded weeds with seeds on the ends of them. Let's get some dark colors to put them in dark, because you're going to have both dark and light. I used to take, when I was a kid, if I had a bowl of ice cream, you probably wonder, where am I going with this? If I had a bowl of ice cream, I'd get to the bottom of the bowl of ice cream, and you'd have that little layer of melted ice cream on the bottom, and I would swish it around, just swirl it around with my spoon. And when I swirled it around with my spoon, I could see things. I could see like lights and darks and things that look like they might be pictures. And that's kind of what I do now. I swirl things around a lot in the paintings. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay, so let's make this a little bit smaller and just make some dark wispy things. She's got a lot of grass coming up out of this area where she's sitting. Some of it would be in front of her too. It wouldn't all be behind her, so we can put some in front of her. Let's get some some light colors to go up against the dark. Just keep adding them in. Make it a little bit thicker. There's just a lot of grass coming up from the area where she is on the edge of the river. This is the way it would be in real life, right? Of course. The earth is abundant with life. Much of that life is plant life. We take it for granted, I think. But it's right there. Okay. Let me get some of these greens in there. A little bit green, a little bit of thickness to that. Just a few. Okay. Now, I'm pretty happy with that. Let me just make a few more dark areas here. There we go. Okay, now what I want to do, remember this layer right here. That's the layer that's between her and the background. What I've been doing this whole thing just about was above her. So I want to go behind her and add a few things. So I'm going to go to this layer and I'm going to brighten some of that water a little bit. So what do we have right now? We have this color right there. So I'm going to make it a little bit brighter and I'm going to just push it in there. Just back and forth it a little bit. I go behind her. We don't have any in the reference photo. It doesn't show water back at this point, but I'm going to put some right there. Make it, there's a rock right there. Okay, I'm purposely trying to make it very, very bright. Let me try to make the sky a little brighter too. Because that water is bright because the sky is bright. Because it's reflecting from the sky. Let's get some dark to get some of those deep parts of the water. Okay. All right. I think we're done. I think we have a finished painting. Let's see what it looks like on the screen. I hope that I didn't mess up too much by doing it in several different steps. There is one thing I want to do, and in fact, this is a good thing to show you. I'm going to make another layer if I can, and I can. Okay, I couldn't remember how many layers I had. And I'm going to do this. Watch that. I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it up to where it says multiply. All right. So I'm going to make this a multiply layer. You see that little M right there? See that tiny little M? That means multiply. Oops. Now, what that means, you can experiment with it, but what I'm going to do with it, I'm going to take some very, very unsaturated, very light blue, just right there. I'm going to pull it on. Now, I don't know if you can see it in the picture, but did you see it got darker just a little bit? See, it's lighter and darker. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the eraser and I'm going to erase some of the stuff, just to make it pop out a little bit. So let's just take that eraser, remove the reduce the opacity a little bit. Let me get that sky bright here. Get some of that water bright here. Make sure her dress is bright. Make sure some of her hair gets bright and the side of her face and her arm. And now you see how it looks like the sky's reflecting in that water more than it was. It's a little bit more dramatic. It's what a movie, what do you call those guys? The lighting director. A lighting director would do tricks like this. Just get some of that sky a little bit brighter. Some of these areas that are getting hit by some of that sunlight. There. The light's hitting her skirt, hitting her arm, hitting a little bit of her foot, hitting this rock over here, hitting that rock over there. See, every time I'm hitting the eraser to the multiply layer, it just pops it out a little bit. All right, now. Let's see how that looks. I'm going to compare it with and without the multiply layer. There's with, there's without. With, without. I think I like it with it better. So I'm going to keep it. And I think now we have a finished picture. What do you think? I'm going to call it done. All right. Thank you for watching. Isabel Page, thank you for these beautiful videos you make. And I hope you don't mind that I used a screenshot to do a painting from one of them. I will call it Isabel in the River. Isabel in the River. How about that? Isabel at the River. How about that? Isabel at the River. That way you're not really in the river, right? Okay. Please subscribe, like this, share this. Anything you can do. If it helps you with the art or if it just entertains you to watch it, either way, I appreciate so much the fact that you take your time to be part of these little demonstration videos. Okay, that's it. I'm going to close shop. It's dark outside now. It's 6 o'clock on the first day of 2023, and I'm ready to call it a day. Had a good party today with my 4-year-old grandson. Had cake. Had little ham and cheese sandwiches, and yeah. Okay, that's it. Bye. See you later.